There's not really a good way to practice other than doing it. You have to just accept the fact that things might go wrong and probably will, and figure out the best way to deal with them that's authentic to yourself. I feel like that mix of personality make it easier actually for video and podcasting and doing these kinds of interviews, because I like having these. No one cares what I look like or what I sound like. They care about what I'm saying, the content that I'm creating, the hopefully the help that I'm offering someone else, the vulnerability I'm giving, the story that I'm giving. That matters way more than all of the things that are going on in the back of my head.
Hello, we're back with another season of the Confident Live Marketing Show. My name's Ian Anderson-Gray, and in this season, we're going to be talking about or looking at communication and confidence. How can you become more confident and communicate more effectively in front of the camera or in front of the microphone, whatever you're creating? So I'm very excited because I've got my great friend, Katie Fawkes, returning onto the show. We're going to ask her questions on this topic. Last time it was all about studio setups. So just a reminder, Katie Fawkes is the director of marketing at Ecamm, where she gets to work alongside some of the most amazing live streamers, podcasters, and content creators out there, helping them reach their goals and grow their business through video and live streaming. In addition to heading up Ecamm's marketing team, Katie is also the co-host of the video podcast, The Flow. Welcome back, Katie. It's great to have you back.
Oh, it's great to be here. Super fun.
Yeah, it's exciting stuff because last time we were talking, we were getting all geeky last week or last time. Now I want to dive into your creation journey. And so what in terms of video content and podcast content in particular, what's your journey? Because before that, you were more into writing, I think. Am I right?
Yeah. I've been on a journey for the last, I guess at this point, four plus years. So prior to joining the Ecamm team, I have an English literature degree. I started my career in the copywriting side of things. So certainly in the marketing side, but writing blog posts, writing copy, and then moving into social media, but always behind the scenes and always definitely not on camera, hidden behind a brand or a company. So it was definitely an interesting experience joining the Ecamm team where, immediately from the get, it was going to be, you had to be on video. You had to be live streaming. You had to understand how the tool worked and the challenges that our customers were facing. So I had to just force myself to go live, which was incredibly scary and took me a little bit of time to get comfortable with. But the more I did it, the more I found that it was actually a really fun space and gave me a lot of freedom. And these days, I feel like it's actually way easier for me to live stream than it is to record a video. Still really bad at recording a video because my perfectionist tendencies take over and I hit that pause button or that stop button and I blow it all out, and I don't like it. I don't like recording videos.
We're both recovering perfectionists, aren't we?
Right.
I have a recovering perfectionist t-shirt, which I should be wearing.
I know, I need it.
It's funny, isn't it? Because that's a similar story to me. I jokingly say that I could have been called the reluctant live video guy. And yeah, I had to jump in the deep end like you did, but you did. So can you maybe tell us a little bit how you were feeling at the time? So this is the time when you were perhaps, were you struggling with confidence in front of the camera, or was it more the perfectionist side of things? What were the emotions going through your brain at the time when you first got in front of the camera, when you knew you had to do it and you didn't particularly want to?
That's a great question. It was probably a little bit of both. It wasn't necessarily confidence in speaking. I come from a theater background. I'm used to presenting and talking with people. That part wasn't scary. What was scary was all the tech. And I was the face of Ecamm, at least in my mind. It was trying to make sure that I was making the tool and the company look as great as they are. And so I was really afraid that I was going to screw it up, or something was going to happen, or someone was going to ask me a question on the software that I couldn't answer, or I was going to struggle to find something. It was all of those kinds of fears that kept popping up in my head. And what happens if my video quality doesn't look as good as the guest that I'm bringing on? Or what if the stream goes down and everything fails. It's all the fears that everyone has as they're thinking through getting started in video. You don't want to look dumb. I didn't want to look like I didn't know what I was doing. And there's not really a good way to practice other than doing it. You have to just accept the fact that things might go wrong and probably will, and figure out the best way to deal with them that's authentic to yourself and doesn't make you feel, I mean, I guess you always feel a little bit nervous, but doesn't make you feel dumb in the bigger
Yeah.
picture of things.
Well, that's interesting. So there's a couple of things that it sounds like to me that it wasn't so much. So for some people, we're just having a conversation now, and there happens to be a camera there. But
Yeah.
sometimes that camera, that inanimate object, can just do people's heads in. It just their
Yeah.
brain goes to mush. It sounds like that wasn't quite so much of an issue for you. More that it was more the tech side. It wasn't the fact that you were being recorded as such. What would you
Yeah,
say
which is
about that?
actually it's actually interesting that you say that, because I thinking it through, it's definitely the camera and the fear of the camera when I'm recording a video. And I think part of it is my perspective on it. So with a live video, it has always felt to me that because you have live viewers and you're in the moment, there's a sort of a forgiveness there that it doesn't, you might trip over your words, you might say, you might, all of these things might happen and it may not be perfect, and that's okay to the viewer. But in my mind, what's not okay, especially as someone that represents and works for a live streaming and video production tool company, is not understanding how the software works or not being able to answer a bunch of those tech questions.
Yeah,
Whereas if I was recording a video, and when I'm recording videos, there's an expectation that a recorded video is really well produced. And a lot of what makes it watchable and what people really want to see is something that's really high quality, answers their questions. You do need to be really put together. And so in that case, I feel like it's less forgiving and I need to say the exact right thing. And because I can pause it and stop it, I'm panicking at what the camera is
yeah.
capturing. Do I look good? Do I sound my best? Am I saying the right thing? Was that the best way to say it? Oh, I need to stop that. I want to re-record it. It gives me
Yeah.
permission to be more of a perfectionist than live video does.
Yeah, no, definitely. And I've, being a recovering perfectionist myself, I've found that live video, in a sense, was partly my savior. It was
Yeah.
that almost like the perfect antidote to perfectionism.
It really is.
Yeah. Now you said that. So you said you wanted to say, you wanted to make sure you were saying the right thing, and particularly being the face of Ecamm, there was a huge responsibility there. Was it all that? I mean, it sounds like it was mainly that, but for a lot of people, there can be an element of imposter syndrome. And I've spoken to a lot of people here who they have this doubt that they know deep down that they do know the answers to these things, but this doubt can sometimes, particularly when it comes to getting on camera and other people, knowing that other people are watching and
Yeah.
potentially judging you, that this imposter syndrome can come up. Was that an issue for you, or have you spoken to people who this is a big problem with?
Yeah, both. It was definitely an issue for me. I was very aware from starting at Ecamm that I knew the marketing side of things, but I didn't know anything about video. Nothing. Like I had taken photography classes back in the day, but I had never recorded video, even on the from my personal content creation journey. I definitely always was in the more blogging, writing, photos side of things. So 100% felt like an imposter. I knew that our customers were going to know way more about this than I was going to. And so there was definitely going to be time as I was getting up and running and forcing myself to use the software more and forcing myself to live stream and to record video more, that I wasn't going to know everything. And so it was either embrace that and, do my best to at least sound, as authoritative as I can, or leverage and learn from people who are incredible at it and just accept that, or fumble
Yeah.
publicly, fail publicly as I was getting up and running. And so yeah, I think imposter syndrome, it continues to be something that I deal with often. I work with Doc Rock, who knows literally everything about video, so I'm always the kind of foil, and I have dealt with that by accepting the fact that I know more and will always know more than someone who's just joining, right? So there's always going to be someone watching, or the potential for someone to watch, who's brand new to all of this, and they probably would rather, they appreciate hearing my journey or my story, or me ask questions that they are afraid to ask, or see me fail at something and figure out how to make it better next time, than for me to act as though I know everything. So I've held on to that all the way through. And I'm so thankful to all the kind of customers and Ecamm fam and friends and colleagues who have sat in the chat and said, "Oh, that was really helpful," or "Oh, I didn't know that," or it confirms everything and gives me that confidence to keep going.
Yeah, and I think the more of an expert you are on a particular subject, the more likely you are going to forget what it's like for beginners just starting off.
Yeah.
So we need people across all those different areas. And yeah, it's been amazing to see you and you grow in your confidence and over the years I've known you. So
Thank you.
has there been like a pivotal moment, or has it been lots of little steps along the way that's helped you grow your confidence, and also the fact that I assume you would agree that you are much more effective in your communication in front of the camera as well. How would you say that? How was your journey? What has been the journey? Has it been like lots of little bits or a few pivotal moments?
A little bit of both. So I would say a lot of little bits at the beginning. So I started by doing a live show called Meet the Pros, where we brought on some of our like expert customers and interviewed them about how they're creating and their content creation journey and how they use Ecamm. And forcing myself to do that was certainly the kind of the jump start into getting into this space, and then learning along the way and watching what everyone else was doing and picking up tips just by being around our customers and around video creators and seeing what's possible and really diving into the tool. So those were all little steps. A year and a half ago, we as a team made the decision that we were seeing more and more people really getting into and adding video to their podcast. So this was a new audience opportunity for us. And so we made the decision as a team. We're like, if we really want to understand this audience better, we need to also have a video podcast of our own and need to go through what those steps are to really understand how the software works for that. Does Ecamm work well for video podcasting? What are some of the challenges that we're going to face? So I think that was a pretty pivotal moment for me and my journey into this space, was really doing all of the steps myself and having Doc as my kind of partner in that helped me figure out how to do it. And the more that I did it, the more that I had people like you, Ian, who asked me to come onto their shows, and I would talk more about it and I would see how they set up their shows. And so I really like immersed myself fully in the podcasting space. And that helped give me a ton of confidence. And then I ended up starting my own video podcast about a year ago as a result of it, which has been, again, just a great experience and a lot of fun in being able to
Mm.
play around with some of the cool technology out there and reach an audience and just have fun in the video space.
Yeah, so you had fun. You didn't stop, because I'm sure there were moments maybe when you thought, "Oh, just give up. It's not working."
Yeah.
You also
Yeah.
surrounded yourself with people, your
Yeah.
cheerleaders, people who were going to support you and help you.
Yeah.
And also, you just went on and did it. You went on other people's shows. You could have like said no and been too scared to do it, but you kept on doing it, which is amazing. So,
Yeah.
have you got a disaster story that you can share with us? That a
Oh my gosh.
mistake
So
that
many.
you made on camera that was a learning. So I want it sounds like a negative question, but I want, what was
No,
your
no, it's a
learning
great one.
moment from that? Because a lot of people, they make a mistake and then they just want to give up and live, just lie down in a darkened room.
So I've had a lot of them, but the one that always stands out, and I went back and found the video clip so I could share it back back again recently. But I had one of our customers, Kevin Colby, who's an incredible creator. He's got like a photography and videography background, and I was doing this series called Live Happens. I can't remember the exact name of it, something like that. And so I had him on as like an expert, and we were talking about these things and we were chatting back and forth. And I had two epic fails in the same stream. So it was like hugely embarrassing. The first was that he was getting all set up. He was running the stream. And so he was like, okay, I'm gonna do my intro. You're gonna be behind the scenes in the green room, and then I'll bring you on. And I was like, great. I'm like, I'm gonna run and get a glass of water and get my computer cable so that my computer doesn't run out of battery while we're in the middle of streaming. But I didn't tell him that because he had already gotten started, and I was like, oh, I have more than enough time. So I ran out of the room to get my stuff. And as I was coming back into the room, I could hear him saying, Katie, are you there? And on screen live was just my chair sitting, and he was laughing his head off. And I had to run back in. And because I always use earphones because I need to be able to control my audio and avoid any feedback. It took me like in my shaking with panic moments to try to put my earphone back in. So that was hugely embarrassing. And then I got through that and we laughed it off. And it was probably about 5 minutes before the end of the stream. And my camera battery died because at the time I was running my Nikon DSLR camera connected by USB into my computer and didn't even think that, hey, like maybe this battery isn't going to make it all the way through the stream. I didn't have a dummy battery at the time. And so it froze like with like my face all
Of
awkward and
course, it's
horrible.
always the
And
worst pose.
I didn't even, I was just so horrified. I think in the background, I was just like, turn it off, please just turn it. It was bad. It was really bad. So I learned a lot in those moments. I learned like how important it is to communicate really clearly. Like I should have just said to him, hey, like don't start the show, or type something into the chat and let him know that I was running downstairs. And obviously just really double checking everything in advance, right? Like I should have had water and my cables and a dummy battery ready to go. Now I do. I have everything like nearby and ready, often
Yeah.
backups of cables in case something happens. And it still might happen. Like it's still, I think that camera freezing situation happened a couple of times to
Mm.
me over the years. But now I know that if it does that, I can switch immediately to a different camera, right? I can switch to my built-in camera if I need to, or often I have multiple cameras to choose from. So I no longer like in this moment of just turn it off, please just turn it off. And I have a backup plan and I know what to do when those kinds of things happen. But you have to go through them in order to know what to do.
You do, and part of it is if it happens again, you're probably not going to be as flustered. But also, it's
Yeah.
in one sense, I don't enjoy it at the time, but I do like when things go wrong because it's
Yeah.
another thing that I can mark on my checklist that I can make
Yeah.
sure it doesn't happen again. Although, yeah. So I want to move on to another topic, which is to do with personality. We're all different and we all have different personalities. We sometimes we put ourselves in boxes. So I'm in danger of putting you in a box here, Katie.
Put me in a
But
box.
so would you describe yourself on a scale of like shy on one side and
Mhm.
bold on the other, and then there's another scale like introverted and extroverted? How would you describe yourself there? And the reason I'm asking you this is because a lot of people say, oh, I could never do that because I'm this.
Mhm.
I have a particular personality. And then the follow-up question from that is, how does this affect the way you turn up on camera?
That's a great question. I am the opposite of shy, but I am fairly introverted. So I'm, which I feel like has taken me a long time to figure out exactly where I fall on some of those scales. Because I am the person that going to a party or an event, that's my nightmare. Like I would I would rather be with one person having a really great conversation or like a group of close friends than being like in a large group of any kind. Like large groups just suck the energy out of me and I need time to recover on the other side of it. But I am chatty and friendly and probably talk way too much and I'm not shy per se. So it's interesting because I feel like that mix of personality or that those couple of boxes that I'm in make it easier actually for video and podcasting and doing these kinds of interviews because I like having these kinds of conversations and I don't feel as though there are a ton of people in the room, even though in many cases there's a ton of people watching, but I
Mm.
don't see all of them. I only see the camera. And for me, it's you and I are having this conversation, and that is really energizing for me. So yeah, I think it actually works out pretty well, but I probably wouldn't have thought that when I was just getting started because
It's
it would have seemed scary.
it's interesting, and I think some people think that if you're introverted, you will also be shy as well. But I've
Yeah.
actually met what I would call like bold introverts. There's actually quite a few,
That's a good one. I'm
uh,
bold introvert,
and,
yeah.
and I think knowing you, Katie, you do when I meet you in person, you seem very confident and happy in your own skin. And
Mhm.
I think that probably helps you get in front of the camera. Whereas some
Yeah.
people, and I have to admit, I was a bit like this. I didn't like the sound of my own voice, didn't like the way I
Mm.
looked. I also was comparing myself with a lot of people. Sometimes those elements can come into it, and they're killers.
Yeah.
So if you can just be comfortable and confident, and it can be in a quiet way. If
Yeah.
you're maybe more introverted, then that's cool.
I
But I
think
think,
that
mm,
that side of it, and I can't remember if it was Diana Gladney or if it was Luria Petruzzi, both incredible creators, but One of them had told me when I was just getting started that when it comes to whether or not I want to wear makeup, or the fact I don't like the gap in between my teeth, or how my voice sounds, I have those things. I feel those things often. But in the end, what they said was it has nothing to do with you. You have value that you need to be able to bring to an audience, and someone on the other side needs to hear what it is you're saying. And if you can constantly think of that as you're putting yourself out there, that it's not about me. Doesn't No one cares what I look like or what I sound like. They care about what I'm saying, the content that I'm creating, the hopefully the help that I'm offering someone else, the vulnerability I'm giving, the story that I'm giving. That matters way more than all of the things that are going on in the back of my head about,
Mm.
oh, I don't like my sweater today, or my background isn't the way that I want it to be. All these different things that we all think and we all feel. You got to just keep telling yourself it's about your viewers and about your listeners and about your audience way more than it ever is about you.
Yeah, it so is. And it's not easy to do that. I mean, some people find that easier than others, but it's changing that soundtrack in your head, because those negative voices can sometimes rise up and stop you from creating your best stuff. Really, you've answered my last question, really, which was I've got written down here: encouragement for and advice for listeners aiming to improve their confidence and communication skills. And I think you've answered that really well. I think that's such an important thing that we all need to take to heart, really. So thank you, Katie, so much for coming back on the show. It's been great to have you. So for people who didn't listen to the last one, obviously go back and listen to it. But tell us how people can can follow you, and tell us a little bit about what you're working on at the moment.
Yeah, absolutely. So I am on all of Ecamm's channels. So ECAM. You can find us on all the different social platforms. We have a Facebook group that you can hang out with us in. And certainly I'm live or recording videos on YouTube on a fairly regular basis. So you can find me there. On the personal side, I do my own video podcast every Thursday night at 9 p.m. Eastern. We live stream our recording process. So if you want to hang out and listen to us review movies from the 90s, you're welcome to do that. It's called the VHS Club Podcast, and you can find us at thevhsclubpod.com.
Awesome. Definitely get in touch with Katie. Follow all her stuff because she is awesome. Thank you so much, Katie. It's been great to have you back on. We are out of time for this episode. I do hope you're enjoying it. Do get in touch. Let me know how you're getting on with listening to this, and do spread the word. It would be great for you to do that. But until next time, I encourage you to level up your impact, authority, and profits through the power of confident live video. See you soon.
Thanks for watching the Confident Live Marketing Show with Ian Anderson Gray.
Make sure you subscribe at iag.me/podcast so you can continue to level up your impact, authority, and profits through the power of live video.
And until next time,
Toodaloo.